Do the rich people cringe and say don't? Tell them that. Yes, 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 don't tell people what you know, keep them poor. Music. My father was the head of education, PhD. All that stuff. I go home and ask him, I said, why don't we learn about money in school? Music. And he looked at me, he says, because the government doesn't let us teach that subject. The government tells us what we can teach and what we can't teach. And I thought that was strange, and I said, but aren't we going to school to learn about money? He says, no. Your job is to get a job. I said, but you get a job to earn money. He goes, no, you're supposed to just get a job. I'm like, no, 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 isn't the purpose of a job to earn money? He goes, you're correct. I said, so why don't I just learn about money? I can skip the job part, you know. And he got flustered and he said, if you want to learn about money, why don't you ask your best friend's father about money? And I said, why, that's Mike. So I asked him. He says, because Mike's father is an entrepreneur. And I said, what are you? He says, I'm an employee. I'm a government employee. I went, oh, what's the difference? This is the difference, is an entrepreneur must know about money, or that they're no longer entrepreneurs. And it says an employee doesn't have to know anything about money, because the government will take care of the company, will take care of them. So I'm all confused, but I took my dad's advice and I trundled over to Mike's father's office and knocked on his door, and I said, hey, I'm here, 9 years old. Teach me about money. He says, beat it, kid. You know. But that's what this toy of rich Ted poor dad started. And finally, through persistence, my rich dad started teaching me about money on one condition. And that condition was he would never pay me. He says, the moment I pay you, you think like an employee. He says, that's the trap. Entrepreneurs work for free. And now I'm 9 years old, my head's going cracking in half. He says, you never want a paycheck, you understand that, kid? He said, okay, I got it. And he said, well, how do I make money? He says, that's what entrepreneurs figure out. It's like, so how do I learn about money? So he would just break out a Monopoly game board, so I would work for free and pick up cigarette butts and get hotels and restaurants, and I would clean and do menial tasks. And as I got older, I started getting into office work and marketing and accounting, and I was an apprentice basically, but I always work for free. And he would teach me about money, but the way he taught me about money was playing Monopoly. And that's finally one day I got upset. I said, well, when are you going to teach me about money? He says, what do you think we're doing? Music. We're playing Monopoly. He goes, no, no, no. No, what do you think we're doing? We're playing Monopolies. What do you think we're doing? 'Cause I don't know, I'm teaching about money. And then that's when you have one greenhouse, you know, he says. There's many formulas for great success. And money, there's thousands of them.